Hi there, welcome back to session 3. This is therapy today. We are going to be able to get our frustrations out, and we're going to be able to turn what could have been not so pretty or pleasant into something very beautiful and purposeful, and turn that energy all around. I love rocks. This is one of my rocks here, and we're going to need a rock. This is what I use to break my tessera. And the tessera are the small bits of hard stuff, whether it is for our projects that I'm taking you through, it is heirloom dishes that were from a family set, and I'm going to be using it to create wonderful keepsakes. Or it could be a vase, or it could be stones that you find on your favorite walk. Anything that's hard, glass, stained glass, glass dishes. You can use all those things in mosaic work. But we're going to use this dish set. And this is how I break my tessera. I get my rock. And we live in an area where there's a lot of shale. Do not use shale, because when you bring down that hammer, your shale doesn't have the same integrity as a river stone. And so I believe this is what they call river stone. I'm not really sure, but that's what I call it. And I get a cloth because I need to have the cloth on the bottom, and then I cover it to capture any pieces. Once you hit, those pieces do want to fly all over the place. And so the cloth helps to keep everything as safe as possible. And of course, eyeglasses work, safety glasses work, but you do need to have some kind of eye protection on, because again, even though you might have a cloth covering, there could be an escape artist that will fly out, hit, and be your luck, land in your eye. Stranger things have happened, and so that's why I'm trying to give you the heads up. I'm not going to break it because I pre-broke my tessera, and it will be quite disastrous to do it here in the studio because of messing up everything that has been taking painstakingly set up for this production. So you just take your piece, sandwich it inside, and especially for plates, because there is a little dip, a little bowl-like thing going on, I turn it upside down so that the heart of it is right up against the rock. And then I take my hammer and smash away. But yeah, you can get a lot of frustration out and have it turned around into something very beautiful. So I usually like to make a nice pile of all my broken bits, because you get on a roll. And so I have small pieces and I have larger pieces depending on my project and what I would like to say in my project. Depends on the size of the tessera that I want to create. And because this plate has a lot of wonderful focal points there, I love that circle right there. And so I want to take us through getting to that place there. And as you can see, this is a mosaic. As I was going and prepping, you see how it broke, but I thought it's a mosaic. It's okay for it to be in pieces. And things happen. And it's not always going to be as perfect as we would like, or it's not going to be manufactured. It's going to be more organic. And that's the beauty. That's what people sort of respond to. And so if it's not going to be like Boy, I would have loved to have that to be just perfect, but it didn't happen. I think they put these dishes in the microwave, and so there were little fractures all along, because that's what microwaves does to pottery and to china. And boom, it slipped off. But that's going to be quite okay, and I think I can still use it. So this is just to give you an idea. So with this, I have my trusty nippers. Okay. I tried to get this as close as I could with the breaking in the hammer and having it sandwiched between cloth so that I didn't have too far to nip away. And so what I'm going to do, and this can be a little tryy too, just take a little bit, move these out of the way so nothing happens to them. And I am just going to take a little bit, you see that? Less than about a quarter of an inch. And I am just going to nip away. Tedious. That's where that book on CD comes in handy. And just be very patient. Don't take too big of a piece with your nippers, because that's when you get into trouble and you can lose what you're striving for. What I'm striving for is to get this in a complete circle. If you're very particular, you could take your marker and mark exactly where to put the nipper, but I'm not that particular. And there, you see the little rays? I'm using them as my guideline, that I'm just about a quarter of an inch above the rays. Almost there. Don't get antsy-pantsy, Gail. Gail got antsy-pantsy. Maybe that was for an example. You see how I got away from my nice, even... Oh, what can I do? I think I'm going to just nip away and use that straight edge to put up against my mosaic on its edge, and turn what could have been a mistake into a purposeful image. There, I'm sort of content with that there, and we'll just do some problem solving to make it work. I like this little flower right here, so I'm going to just try to take off the extra. How cute is that? And I'm going to put my square mosaic with the square mirror, rectangle mirror, out so we can begin working. Here's our adhesive in my adhesive container, and I'm going to scoop a good sized dollop into my container. Make sure I secure my lid back on. Doesn't dry too quickly, but that's a big sized container there. I have my popsicle stick. And let's see some of these pre-cut pieces that I have. My hanging system's here, so this is going to be my top, my bottom, and my two sides. And I think I like and remember this piece that I broke off the side. I think I like that. And if I find another button, I'm going to step back and look and see what I think. I'm not sure. I think I like that. So once you get a feel for what it is that you're going for, and this is my focal points outside of the mirror, those nice round centerpieces of the plate. Then I'm going to make my commitment. And my commitment is adhering my adhesive, and I want to layer it in like cream cheese on a cracker. Pretty even. And when you put your adhesive on, you want to make sure that it doesn't bubble up. See, like that little speck there? You want to wipe that off. And that's where our skewer sometimes comes in. Right now, I'm just putting the focal pieces on, but once we start putting the tessera on and butting it up, those little bits of adhesive can sometimes pop up, and I don't want them to. And this works quite well to grab that adhesive out and to remove it. It becomes a big nuisance when you go to grout if the adhesive overrides and comes up off the sides of your tessera, your little bits. And it really distracts the eye in the finished piece because you're able to see the difference between the grout and the adhesive, and it's just a big annoyance. So to not have that frustration, don't allow the adhesive to rise up between the tessera. And it does take a bit of practice to know how to put the right amount of adhesive onto your tessera, your pieces. And when I place it on my substrate, I do bear down and press so that I make sure that I get a good joint, a good compression, a good bond. That's the word I was looking for. Okay. You're taking my mistake that I nipped a little too much, but it's going to work quite well. All right, I want that in between. I want it in between here. That's what I'm looking for. It's that space there, now that fits in there. And it can move out a little over. Same here. Alrighty. Last major focal point. Again, I want to let it be in between. I'm not bearing down on it yet until I get the other piece in place, so I make sure I have the placement right. There we go. Now, I am going to, like putting a puzzle together, I'm going to take my pieces of tessera, and with this plate, with this broken tessera, I have the choice of using the piece, the side that has the design on it, or if I want, I can use the back where it's plain. And I'm going to allow that to play on the whole design. I'm a visual artist and I need to see what it's going to look like. So I'm just putting a couple pieces in. And when you get on a roll, it's amazing how quickly the pieces fall into place. That's when I can tell if I have my groove on, because I really don't even have to think too much about placement. Do I want to add a little bit of a border? Question mark. Using using some of the design pieces. You see what I'm trying to get at? I'm using the solid pieces for the inside and maybe some of the printed for my border all the way around. I'm not going to make you see and watch me do the entire piece because we put our mirror in, we covered our mirror, we glued it on, we set something heavy on top of it to make sure that the bond between the glue and the substrate was nice and tight. We came up using various pieces of this plate to make our focal pieces. And now I really think this is the rhythm that I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with the white, which will be the underside of my plate, to fill in all around and give a very slight border of the print on the bottom. And again, if it's a little uneven, that's quite okay. It's all right. This is an organic piece, and that is the wonderment of the grout. When we come to session 5 and we start adding the grout in, then it's going to really bring everything into a whole. So since I have this piece right here, which I showed you, I'm going to take, and I don't like to work too far in without gluing. I know some mosaic artists, they like to get it all figured out and then they start gluing. But I do a little area to see where I'm going, if this is what I'm looking for, is the coloration the way I want it, what I had visioned in my mind, does it fit? And then once I get that going, then I usually apply the adhesive as I apply the piece. But I'm going to start, and this is why some people like the tweezers. And again, I just add a little pressure. And you want a nice sized dollop. See how that is? I would say like how you add your toothpaste, but I think that's so personal. Some people only like a bit of toothpaste, and some people like a dollop of toothpaste. So again, you want to add a nice bit, but you don't want it coming up on the sides. Fit in there, and you want to make sure that it's seated. You see where I take my skewer and there you go. And this skewer tip also helps to reposition. There we go. So in session 4, we're going to play around with another way of completing a mosaic with the round mirror. So I hope you've come and join us for that. And thank you so much for visiting with us and taking part today.